on this computer. So we're all good there. And so basically, one of my theses that I'm going to suggest that you want to keep in mind through the rest of the class and maybe even your career is that I'm going to sort of suggest that all designs are the same. It's kind of, somewhat, I wouldn't say it's an overstatement. It's a very bold statement. Even designing your career is the same as designing a product or process or business model. No, like generally speaking, right? In terms of how the thinking process might be working in the minds of like designers that are doing new product design in particular. So what I want you to do is, it is how you think about something and frame the problem, and also frame the solution and also the iterative process. Okay, think about it, and I think this case will make it clear, right? So my question right away is, I think my first two questions will probably sort of roughly answer this, but I think the rest of the class will hopefully fully answer it. Okay, so yeah, why are we doing this case? What does it have to do with product process or business model design? Or maybe even, as I suggested, design of your own career or your life, right? Or your resume. Yeah, you can type away. I want to listen to you. Okay, cool. Revitalization of a dead end. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a good way to put it. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to die with your resume, but I'm sure you'll do well. Finding better ways maybe is a good way to put. Design is a way of going from current state to a better state, if you think of it like that. Thinking outside the box. That's pretty good. I think you can do pretty well thinking inside the box too, but that's just a metaphor. Um, it's a success story that focuses on people first. Oh, good stuff. I like that. Taking a new approach. Problems may be unique, but understanding the problem to solve it is critical. Yeah, good point. Good point. I'll give you an anti angle to it too. A different angle. I wouldn't say an anti angle. It's an article I recently wrote on LinkedIn. I'll push the link in at the right time. Um, because I mean, some people think of it differently. Sometimes you think the solution first, right? It happens often, but that's also good. Although in the beginning of the class, we force you to be problem focused. What I'm suggesting is, that's kind of important to do. Thinking outside the box, because you can go from some solution possibilities to the actual problem. Perhaps you'll come up with a different solution direction. So in that sense, right? Blue ocean, good point. Just understanding that it's a blue ocean itself is getting into problem spaces that are blue ocean that you can form a team to address is half of entrepreneurship, right? It's more than half, I would say. Um, so how to build something that stands out? Very cool. Creating new avenues and opportunity. It was interesting to see how the company branched out into something new and solve problems. Very cool. Okay. Understand how we succeed by using different approaches, think differently. Yeah. People are the center of any good design. Yeah, sure. Yeah. To demonstrate that design process can be applied to unlikely things. Good point. Yeah, I like that point. Yeah, you can apply it to everything. Okay. Being unique, innovative thinking, finding something you're good at and something that interests you too. Correct. Reinventing something. Absolutely. Wheel can be reinvented many times and perhaps even without spokes and everything. Right. Yeah. So a lot of these are like metaphors we kind of use. You can always find an opposite to some of, like reinventing the wheel kind of metaphor. Okay, so taking an idea and making it appeal to even more, very cool. Creating new opportunities. Yeah, innovation, right? I kind of want to like little bit of pause on innovation, right? So I'll define it in many different ways, but just to ground it, taking something including inventions and converting it into impact or converting into money, right? It's kind of opposite of what we do in research, especially professors. We take money and like most of us write papers and high impact papers and or you know, publish, right? To that end, a lot of innovation is kind of an opposite kind of a thinking. And also, I want to suggest that monetization often comes after customers, or God often in many times, and sort of you realize the value, you accumulate a lot of customers, that creates the eventual value, right? Many of these business models are sneaky, right? They get you, you're in, and then Amazon starts taking things out, increasing the price. They become the monopoly by that time, right? So perhaps in a good and bad way, um, oftentimes some of the businesses are doing it the opposite way, right? They get the customers and then give them the value because they haven't seen the value, increase the value, and then they start charging you, and then now they have created the value and you want to continue buying. Okay. So this has happened in the past multiple times, right? Google showed Yahoo, even though Yahoo was using Google at one time, that search is more important than content, right? It's happened again and again and again in music, right? And then, when music has gone um, into a different paper use kind of situation. Movies, it's kind of happening right now. Do you guys want to say something about what Netflix is doing to movies? How are they changing that industry? They're giving everybody a run, right? Yeah, yeah, of course. Blockbuster and all has gone long time ago. It's yeah, become a home experience, reinventing. Yeah, what are they doing to make it self-produced? Good point. Okay, lowering cost to watch movies. Okay, no need. Oh yeah, that's also true. Very good point. No need to eliminate. Adding, yeah. So all good answers. Accessibility. A lot of industry relied on DVD sales. Avoid extra expenses like pop. All of those, of course. Yeah, why are they like becoming a threat to Hollywood? Yeah, finding trends, right. Eliminating sense. Okay, well, that is tricky. Yeah, but of course. Okay. So a few things here, right? So some things that I do want to mention here is they are experimenting and prototyping, number one, right? And a lot of analogy to the Cirque, but we will come to that. But also the other point is innovation and differentiation, as well as execution, risk and adaptability, and emotional connection. All of those are important things in any design process, and so is it in the Cirque case too, right? So we'll kind of just I want to get you some interesting points out of the business value that uh, Netflix has created. So to give you a quick summary, right? So Netflix definitely is doing a vertical integration. So when I say vertical integration, what are they doing, right? They are kind of producing exclusive content, right? Their model is very different. Save on third-party costs, licensing. Okay, that's very expensive. Just like some of the things Cirque did, like eliminating animals and so on. So distributing content globally without waiting for regional licensing deals, as one of you pointed out. And they kind of experiment with localized production, which is pretty cool. They get a sense of the market and then can go global immediately. They do a lot of AI. In fact, the Netflix algorithm for recommenders, they were the first to invent it, the recommender algorithm. So based on your likes and dislikes, they're able to suggest other things that you would like. That algorithm is extremely unique, right? We actually used it in geometry for a very different kind of a setting, right? And even Upwork's algorithm, actually, one of our lab student, he's AI/ML director. He knew all of this before he went there. They use a lot of recommender kind of algorithms, advanced AI, right? Regional content strategies, and very localized content, right? Personalization, which is something that I'm also trying to do in your class, as you will see, right? So strategic pricing and monetization, all of that, and country-specific adjustments, okay? cracking down on account sharing. That's happening all over now, right? So family like four, and they do all of those kind of things. Um, and then globally reducing reliance only on US content, right? So what happens when Netflix gets insulated from Hollywood strikes and industry slowdowns and everything, which is happening a lot because of AI now. So they are thriving when other people are struggling, right? So, and then, like I said, suggested AI optimized, and even script analysis, they use AI for all of that, dubbing, translation with AI. So they don't have the barriers that Hollywood has for production. Okay. Um, so they are kind of really disrupting the industry, right? So you can kind of see it reflected in the stock price. By the way, don't buy stocks based on my recommendation. I'm just suggesting that they are doing a lot of disruption in the industry. Okay. So given that, now that I've emphasized that value and innovation both are important, we'll talk about both, and that's a central part of this thesis going forward. Things change, values change, society and culture change, oftentimes because of tech utilized in a nice way. But as I suggested before, the team comes first, okay, then the traction, then the tech. You have to form tremendous teams to be successful. Social media, for example, Google, smartphones, all of this, right? Amazon, Uber, Airbnb. So do you have other examples of people that changed industry, companies that you've seen historically? Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, I want different ones. BlackBerry did. Watch the movie. Good one, good one. Yeah, at that time they did. Oculus, yeah, Oculus with VR. That's it's kind of like definitely. I think company is betting itself on it. Hopefully it changes. Still not out of the woods there. Yeah, Tesla, yeah, Microsoft, Sony, yeah, Walmart, SpaceX. Good stuff. Yeah, I think you guys are thinking. OpenAI, thank you. Don't forget DeepSeek. Okay, so I'll just give you because these comments are all coming now. I want to put two articles up for you to read later. I'll just comment on them and move on. I do want to comment on technology a little bit, and now on AI. And in the class, we actually have a full module on AI and also a full module on AI and extended reality. We have both in the class. I just recorded it, and we introduced it into the class formally this semester. I tested it last. Okay, so given that, I'm going to oftentimes we think, yeah, let's listen to customers. I took a slightly different take there, but I currently put the article that I wrote about DeepSeek in LinkedIn, and um, I did it immediately. I analyzed the paper and the work, and very much into it. And talked to a number of people in different companies. It was my most read article last week. Okay, it became my most read article, and two CTOs forwarded it. So very happy. And also was used inside a bunch of Amazon product groups, as I heard later. So the point is, when everybody thought that OpenAI was a law, they challenged it, right? And a lot of the US companies became complacent, and we didn't think about it. We said, oh, yeah, you need more compute, you need more this, you need more that. And they optimized algorithms. And then they released it. And just the week before, there was this $500 billion deal talked about between OpenAI, Oracle, SoftBank, and what's the others, right? Like anyway, four companies, right? And immediately challenged, and it even brought Nvidia stock price down in one day by $600 billion. It's never happened in history, right? So that's also kind of design thinking. They didn't do anything new. They just had a very different integration, very clever way of doing it, and they optimized the inference cost, the cost when you use it. Okay, you can read my article, so it raises the right questions there. But also the point is, oftentimes there are unexpressed needs, which we call latent needs that people don't use. I mean, people don't express. And you can always ask who's the customer, etc. Can the non-customers become customers? Asking the right questions. all of that becomes very important, right? So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but Steve Jobs was the exemplar. We are all not Steve Jobs, but this article critically examines ways and means by which, and also cites one of the books I referred to the class. And Dan Olson actually wrote to me about the article I wrote here. He thought it was pretty well written. It is one of my better read articles, so you won't be wasting your time reading it. I tested it already, like Netflix did. So value plus innovation, right? So what does it mean? It serves as a way to understand the value and innovation, which is true for any product, right? So without creating value, no one will use any product or service. Okay. And business model also, right? So value and innovation are key center themes for this whole class and this case study. What are those features and functions a product has to serve? And more importantly, are we framing the problem correctly? Okay. And you want to create a new space. Oftentimes you don't want to imitate the space others have created and work on it, right? But sometimes you imitate the other space and you do better. It doesn't have to be like DeepSeek versus OpenAI, right? Look at the amount of investment we in the US, right? Like we put into a lot of the AI technology, and all of a sudden you have something in the software side, which has better performance, and it built on Meta's own open source tool, right? So this whole thing is kind of very unusual situation in the AI space, right? That literally everybody was talking about it. So we have to consider the surrounding ecosystem, and any industry is prone to change at some point. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So quick synopsis. Um, we'll talk about the circus industry very quickly, right? It was a rising star in the field of live entertainment, and not only did it profit and growth soar, everybody sort of um, change a lot of people change their behavior, right, in terms of not going to the old circus, but also they entered a structurally unattractive industry, as some of you pointed out, and then they changed it. Okay, and of course, against this whole backdrop, right, Cirque shifted the buyer group away from children to include adults and drew upon all their strengths, but also from a perspective of all the things that we have seen in entertainment, Broadway shows, opera, and everything. Borrowed good stuff from all things to create different kind of experience. Okay, so how do you assess the attractiveness in 90s, right? Would you encourage a newcomer to enter at that time? Perhaps not, right? You just look at the big circus, nothing attractive about it. Okay. They were just getting bigger and very dependent on their big names, and it was all hinged on big players and big elephants and everything, right? And then all the Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, all of that stuff. Have you guys who has been to a traditional circus? How many? Big, small? Yeah, just tell us. Yeah. Okay, small, small. Yes. No, 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 it's okay. Yes, I want to see more of the yeses. It's easier for me to count. Small, small ones. Okay. Yeah, you've seen, I'm sure, Chris. Yeah, don't. It's good to have experience. Good experience matters. Small, no. Okay. I've been to big and small. In fact, I went to the small one in Lafayette too. Well, the nearby town. Okay. I've been to big both in multiple countries as well. So cool. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, yeah. So both groups were unattractive to enter. So anyone want to say why the big ones were hard to enter? Just very quickly. Yeah, cost of entry. Why? Price, cost to establish. Why is the cost so high? Well, not from the customer point of view, from entry into the market. Yeah, capital intensive. Very good point. Animal stores, inventory. Exactly. Why was operational cost large? Okay. Good. Yeah, yeah. You guys are, yeah. Cost of retaining talent, paying performers, animals. Good point. Lots of, yeah. Yeah, basically you just had to like it was like a journey to go from one place to another, right? Also. And yeah, then there's a very few people like there's just you even could name the number of operators there. And what about the small circus? Why was that not attractive? Cheap, low budget, lower cost, not a big crowd. Yeah, less novelty, not too exciting. Exactly. Low margins. Yeah, pretty much so. And pretty much they were all family owned. It's just the opposite, right? Yeah, diminishing market. Why was the market diminishing? Okay, basically you saw the big circus ones, you've seen it all, the same thing over and over. Okay. And then the little small ones, where there's this big ones made small, wasn't that different, right? So boring, right? And yeah, it was a subcontractor type of relationship. So suppliers had bargaining power, and big names had bargaining power. And the other one were family run, right? So pretty much costly advertising, hiring, retaining top talent, maintaining animals, and then you had a nationwide travel schedule. Small, literally no barrier to entry, but unattractive, right? And then what was happening in the environment? You have to keep this in mind, right? Things change, right? Markets change because environment is ecosystem also changing. Think about that. So what was changing in the environment that made this happen? Yeah, animal, besides animal right activists, what else was happening? TV shows, good point. Yeah, yeah. Digital media, theater, exactly. Yeah, woke mentality, other entertainment. Basically, it's competing on your time, right? You have time, what you're going to do with it for entertainment. Comes down to that. Got repetitive, all of that, right? Children more interested, yeah, video games and all that. Yeah, don't forget all that, and even more so now, the smartphone is with everybody, right? Alternatives. Thank you. Yeah, good stuff. Thank you. Good stuff. Yeah, you guys got it. Okay, so now we're kind of going to talk about the things. I talked about how to assess the old. Okay, okay. Now I'm going to talk about what are the factors traditional companies. We talked a little bit. What do you like and dislike? We're going to talk about this. What did you like about what did people like about the circus, the old circus? Yeah, exotic performance, artistry and art. Yeah, kind of some of those spectacle, unique acts. Yeah, escape, daring thrills. Thank you. Good stuff. Elephants. That's kind of opposite. Well, there were more people who didn't like elephants than the activists, right? So maybe you liked it, and you'll go to an elephant show, Benito. But you're probably not the average. Thrill, right? Excitement, exposed to things you don't see. Thrill of act. Okay, okay. Yeah, it was family activity. Interesting. Nostalgia. Okay, you like all that, daring performance, danger and serpents, acrobatics. Okay, new spectacles. Yeah, so guys are using like, this is good. A different way to describe similar things, but they are different. Okay, stories in theater, musical, trained animals, which is not wild. I didn't get that. Rishabh's comment, I couldn't get it. But yeah, okay, engagement. I think that's key. So I'm just going to like type away some of the key things. Um, so exotic, right? Amazing, right? So Cats, I don't think so. That I'm going to put. Um, okay, I think we got it. Um, hmm, Fire. Okay. Fire wasn't there in the old one. I don't know if it was. I remember motorbikes going in cages. Kind of talks about like more the um, danger, etc. Right? In that sense. So so roughly speaking, people liked the magic of circus, right? Risk, fun. Yeah. Yeah, risk that comes from stunts and so on, right? Yeah, that's good. Okay, I think we have a bunch of stuff we kind of liked about the old circus or people like it. Um, okay, it was interesting. Somebody said early circus used slideshow. So what did you not like, dislike? Okay. Clowns kind of are actually somewhat dangerous. Some kids even get scared and cried. Clouds were there. Heat, animal cruelty. Okay. Yeah. And well, I'm going to let's look at what else. Danger. Yeah, danger on off. No, no. I like the no flow idea. Flow or slow. Well, some things weren't, but anyway, I'll just put some. The metal seating. Okay, seating. Seating was uncomfortable. Okay, I think I like that part. Let's put in more things. Um, the three rings was kind of annoying, I thought. Um, I put animal cruelty already there. Too many things going on in stands. It used to be chaotic and food all over, like people selling them. So it was kind of very confusing. Okay. All right. Okay, this bunch of stuff, I think. Acoustics, that's a very good one. Okay, anyway, I think you guys get the idea. I think you're hitting a lot of key things here. Yeah, long travel, performance dated, old fashioned, lack of cohesion. Yeah, in hindsight, you can always tell. You can put a lot of the things that are there and say, hey, I like this, I didn't like that. But at that time, to think forward, right, that you have to think about. That's where the novelty part comes. But also you can get copied easily. So I always talk about the moat, right? What do you have when we are listening to startups and pitches? You know, I do the tech due diligence. I always look at the tech moat. Um, what do you have that is going to be hard for others to figure out, right? That becomes very critical. But yeah, anyway, I used AI to create this, but you can kind of get at everything here. The old circus sort of portraying some of the things that you all talked about. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm going to now sort of share this, share sound, share this. Okay. I tested this. So maybe just one of you maybe can say that the sound is good when it plays. It should be good. I hope so. End the video.
These'll make you want to run away and join the circus.
Thank you.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 Cirque du Soleil shows. Number 10, Kidam. Young Zoe is snubbed by her parents and is tired of the world around her. Cue an alternate reality where childlike wonder is fostered and cherished. Colors and magic explode out of thin air and bring life back into Zoe's world. Kidam, a suited character that is distinguished by his lack of a head, guides the audience through a surrealist world of enchantment and whimsy. Cirque du Soleil rolls out its impressive arsenal of acrobatic aerial acts to bring life to the realm of Kidam, which began as a big top show and evolved into a touring arena spectacle. So it's no wonder it's won awards from numerous circus festivals. Number 9, Millions of People, reaching its final destination in 2013 in Antwerp, Belgium. The show tells a story of unbridled energy and the consuming lust for power, with Fleur, a madman with pretensions of grandeur, taking the audience on a journey through a dangerous world of magic and wonder, the titular Allegria. Number 3, Love. Cirque du Soleil tries its hand at the Beatles story, incorporating its signature flair for astonishing visuals and good old-fashioned showmanship in this resident show at Las Vegas's Mirage Hotel. Please help me. Love traces the Fab Four's storied legacy from the first days in the Blitz in England, all the way up to their final shows in the 70s. Described as a nostalgic spectacle, the show makes good on its title and gives audiences another chance to experience Beatlemania and fall in love with the band all over again.
Well, you know, it started off as a fantastic show 5 years ago, and it's still the hottest thing in town.
Number 2, Oh. This show, whose name comes from the French word for water, doesn't shrink away from its theme, as evidenced by the fact that it takes place in a 1.5 million gallon pool. Young Philemon, the story's protagonist, is dragged into a world of beautiful opera houses, giant oceanscapes, and wacky characters in his quest to track down the mysterious Aurora. Acrobats, swimmers, and divers who pirouette and paddle their way across the watery stage, bring O to elegant life and give audiences a new kind of experience. Before we unveil our number one pick, here are some honorable mentions. Number 1. Ka. When you're in Vegas, you either go big or you go home. And that seems to be Cirque du Soleil's motto when it comes to Ka. Described as one of the most grandiose and technologically advanced shows in North America, Ka blends techniques such as pyrotechnics, automation, puppetry, and a unique set of enormous moving platforms to tell the story of twins separated during their coming of age, and who must then undertake a journey of self-discovery. Fire is the main theme in Ka, and the show explores its ability to destroy and to bring knowledge. Do you agree with our list? What's your favorite Cirque du Soleil show? For more boundless top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Okay, so I'm going to. Luckily, I tested it before class, as I mentioned. They had changed these guys had changed the sharing buttons, so I would have not been able to run it smoothly if I hadn't tested it. It was the same day before yesterday or yesterday, but any case, okay, on the same machine too. So, yeah, that said, let's kind of get on with our core. Um, Yeah, so we kind of discussed a bunch of these things in terms of, what's new in the show. I'm glad some of you saw the show. I had a well, my wife's cousin lives in Vegas and works for an airline, so I get free tickets to go and come back. So I've watched quite a few of them. But also, car, for instance, some of these are amazing engineering, right? Like really amazing engineering work on the back end. But of course, people at the end of the day care about what they're seeing, right? Engineering is all hidden in the background, as you saw pyrotechniques and mechanical design and artistic design, use of puppetry with it, all of that, right? So, so as I was saying, right, like uh, they did eliminate animal shows, which cost $6,000 a week or so in those days, dollars. Cost of trainers, security insurance, star performers were gone. They were like a couple of million even those days, like exclusive contracts, three rings eliminated, aisle concessions, all of that was gone, right? Um, but also I want to now talk about um, what were the things that they kept, and then what are the things that they eliminated, right? So we'll talk a little bit about what they kept and what they eliminated. So I'm going to move back to the share and okay. All right. So we'll just talk a little bit about what were kept, okay? Um, what were downplayed, what were upplayed or increased, right? And then we'll talk about what was taken out completely. So let's kind of talk about what was kept. So you can type away. Okay. Music, excitement, acrobatic talent, costumes, acrobatic clowns, different way. Tent, right. Good. Yeah, Tent was classic symbol. They kind of kept it in most, yeah. Human talent, better story. But what they, yeah, let's kept art, eliminated animal acts. But we'll talk about elimination later. Okay, so yeah, the humor and fun was made more sophisticated, right? That's kind of one of their angles. Um, Human talent, right? Okay, good stuff. Storytelling, right? Big, yeah. Variety of different acts. Thanks. So danger, thrill, acrobatics, in more emotional filled. Okay. Retained the clown but made it more sophisticated, right? Wheelman, jump ropes, and that flying thing on top of the stage was quite interesting. It just comes over the audience, right? Um, pretty cool tech in if you go to the Vegas shows. After this class, you probably can justify going there again and watching the subtleties of it. I mean, my view is worth it. I'm not marketing it to you. But point is, prices were also closer to opera, right? Like we'll touch upon that later. Musical score, um, big emphasis. Okay, so that's good. So just to put things in perspective, they kept a lot of this. What were eliminated? Okay, they took out animals. Okay, stars. So that bargaining power was gone. Okay, three ring set. Good. Traditional environment. That's a good one. Taken out. It'll, yeah. Okay. And also that, yeah. Yeah, they took out all those gimmicks. Nice way to put it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, eliminate catering to the younger audiences alone. Good way. Good way to put it. Yeah, I like this part. This is pretty cool. Good stuff. Good stuff. I think you guys are all hopefully read it well. But keep in mind, I'm going to reveal all the my GPTs for every week, and you can play with it. I suggest you play with it. Typically, it'll answer most of the kind of questions in the interviews of level one and maybe half of two, but beyond half of two and three, it probably won't do well, right? But I certainly would ask you to practice with the MyGPT, even for the Cirque. Certainly, there's going to be a lot of emphasis in Q&A in the cases as well as we go forward because it's more nuanced than so just 1 hour of reading, you probably won't get it. Okay, so just keep that in mind because some people I checked upon, they said, oh, yeah, they spent an hour or two, right? I think you'll need to think through more carefully. Okay. All right. So these are kind of images that come from the Cirque. Like I'm just going to move forward. Um, how did they create all this superior profits, and how does it improve, industry growth and generate revenue? Right. Kind of you saw what they did, and how do they raise profit and reduce cost structure? Maybe that's another way I can put it, right? So yeah, so it was themed, right? Clearly. Um, so where did all these new things they did come from? Maybe I'll focus on that now. Where do you think they got all these new ideas? I will talk about costs again, but it's going to come back towards the end. So let's talk about where. Yeah, okay. So this is very critical, right? I always tell people like ideas can literally come from anywhere, for transforming some, um, literally. But of course, you could probably some of them. Your extra care card. Oh, somebody mute. Is talking about is ordering some ticket items today in the class. Something about credit card. Hopefully not buying tickets for the Cirque show. Okay, so songs they chose, Luxury Experience, Theater, Broadway, Symphony. Okay. Yeah, this is all good. Premium tickets, targeting, okay, that's all good. But yeah, let's kind of talk about inspiration from art pieces, movies, okay, theater. Okay. All in the right direction, right? So opera and theater, right? Well, ideas come from employees too. Very good point. Inside the show, but like the whole, I'm talking of the whole. Um, right? Um, okay. Yeah. Good point. Globalization makes the show more widely appeal. Yeah, very good point. Yeah. Stuff travels these days from good things and bad things travel over the world rather quickly these days, right? Yeah. So globalization certainly changed everything. Even CAD machine tools went around the world and it came to us from other places too, right? So yeah, theater shows appeal to a broad range of adult market. Okay, was not considered in this, and also like it wasn't a sequence of unrelated acts, as you all pointed out. Costumes, musical scores, coordinated and live. Okay, sequence of acts, more harmony and intellectual element, right? All of that was there. Watching environment was transformed, right? And no benches, multiple productions, so they could repeat it, different different locations, but also different themes. Each show is different from one another and from the classic circus. So classic circus had a barrier to scaling, so you could scale. Scale is very critical. Okay, it's a very important concept keep in mind. In especially if you want the business to grow at some point, you have to be able to scale. And scale is not just doing the same thing again and again, right? You can do different things, add new dimensions, add new features. Just think of the Swatch watch and all that, right? Like, how do you create variety out of the same thing, same core? Right? That's important. That's what product configuration does in general. So intellectual dance and music, original score, assorted music, idea coming from Broadway, also abstract and spiritual dance from ballet, and some of you pointed out the globalization and other things, right? Like multicultural. So now let's kind of depict that, right? How can we kind of draw and simplify the complexity of this case? And you can do that for all the other businesses. You can see what Starbucks did to what was not there before, right? You can literally do it for like Uber versus before. It's easy to do in hindsight, like I said, but it's good practice for you. Okay. It's good practice for you. Like, what did McDonald's do? What was not there before? Okay. That's good practice for you. Hindsight is okay, right? It's just a learning thing. For you to actually do it, it's a different ball game, right? So x-axis of the curve here are all the buying factors by potential and actual buyers and not seen by the current suppliers of products and services. That's how I kind of characterize the x-axis. Y-axis is the level of offering, or more simply put, what we call value. Okay. So we kind of talked about the thing, and now we are going to draw the value curve. Okay. So if you kind of draw all of that, like you guys did, right? Like x-axis, just put all the dimensions, as I call it, the dimensions. Okay. It's just my way of thinking about multiple show, animal acts, ticket price, creativity, complexity, thrill, danger, theme, multiple production, art, music, dance. This is all like the x-axis elements. As you'll realize, there's no unique way to draw. Like, well, my curve may be different from yours. The names may be slightly different, right? But the key points that it'll convey will will have to be aligned, okay, or similar. Y-axis is the value. So you kind of start thinking, okay, let's draw the curve. How is it going to look like? Okay, so you start putting it down. So you'll sort of, let me see if my drawing button comes out. Okay, so you can draw it for, let's say, the big shows, the Ringling Brothers. Okay, and multiple shows, like multiple production. They're still there, right? You'll put it somewhere here, right? And then you can kind of see, right, like how theme probably they didn't even have it. So maybe I shouldn't be drawing it in this way, but basically you'll start seeing that you kind of come up with some kind of a value curve for the big guys, right? That's something, and so our art, music, multiple production, perhaps even theme, I wouldn't put them there, but perhaps thrill danger, I would say they were pretty good, right? So maybe something like this, okay? And then it goes away. Then you'll draw the smaller production guys, the little fellows. They're kind of like the small version of the big thing, as I put it, right? And then you can say, okay, let's do it for um, let's do it for the Cirque people, right? So artistry, music, a lot of these things kind of go high. They probably equal to or higher than the other folks in the thrill and danger type, right? Fun and humor, all of that is high. They don't have multiple shows, okay? They don't have animal acts and ticket price, they kind of kept it up. They went up, right? So yeah, you can kind of just figure out how to draw the thing, right? What they took out and what they kept, right? So you'll get the new value curve. That's the main point. So I mean, we'll give you this actual one that I've drawn before, right? So you kind of see that price higher, stars are taken out, animal shows taken out, aisle concessions out, multiple show areas out, fun and humor. They're kind of pretty good in all of that. Maybe not as high, but like it's differently done with tech and everything, right? And then theme, refined viewing, multiple show product. These are all new elements that they introduced. Okay, so they took out all this. Right? Okay, they took out a lot of stuff. Okay, all right. So given all that, right, you kind of see how you can draw a value curve in some other situation. They made a bunch of money all the time. Okay, and then they annual revenue was increasing, all the years. And of course, if you look at the shows that stacked up, they stack up each year. So they kept doing that. And then this is just a formalization of one ring, three ring, non-star, star, yearly, seasonal, multiple one, no animals, animals, story theme, unrelated acts, profit from tickets, right? And no concession, like all of those, refined watching environment and so on. Okay, I'm not going to go exactly through this, but the prior to this, like even now, business schools kind of use the Porter 5-4 small. I mean, I didn't even go through that. But basically, the stuff that is valid for emerging areas, all value innovation. We kind of I've been using this for a while. It's really good for the class because first gives you a very different kind of a perspective on how to think about value innovation, right? Um, so choosing an attractive industry was the old way of thinking. Now we are thinking of redefining industry, especially valid with AI, which is going to hit every business in every different way, all physical products, robotics. It's slowly going to creep into literally all things, right? Things that we didn't think about yet, right? But of course, you have to marry it with guardrails from classic math and other things as well. But also, you can see that like the market and competition became irrelevant, and the value curve was our way of thinking about it. The foundation is reconstructing the boundaries of an industry, even questioning the boundaries in that way. So, what key things that you want to take note here is what factors should be eliminated that you took for granted, what can be reduced below the standard because it can help in cutting costs and refocusing to changes that the new industry is making or the startup is making, what factors should be raised well above standard, and what are the ones that you're going to create that was never offered before, right? So in doing so, just the idea of value innovation is reducing cost, increasing buyer value. That's a bigger idea. So the sweet spot is what we are calling value innovation, right? And doing that, you get cost savings, cost advantages, economies of scale by higher volumes, right? and appeal to a larger market, right? And the basic idea that really what matters is focused on closing out. Basic point, from competing within to creating across, right? For the industry, for the group, buyer group, for the service, and the industry, and also, as I mentioned, time is an important thing to consider. All that said, just to sort of knock out some of the key points here. What happened, just like last time I was telling you, right? Like, indeed, in time, the Sweetwater concept still lives, and I gave you a little bit of analysis of that industry in a similar way. Okay, Cirque suffered during the COVID times, right? And let me see here. I'm going to cancel this, take the sharing out, share. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to just put in the chat a couple of links which are worth reading for you to see what came out of it in 21, 22, that time frame. I did keep following what happened to this industry, right? Out of interest. And also, well, they actually sold for about 1.5 billion to another larger group. Pandemic crushed so bad that nobody thought they'll survive, but they came back, right? And uh, well, they're up and running now. And yeah, just a couple of articles on their rebounds after bankruptcy and the protection they got later. They're still running, as you guys all know. Here are some current articles on it if you're interested in follow up. And this is an article from uh, when they were just planning, they got killed, and then reemergence. Okay, cool stuff. Thanks, guys. Oh, one more thing. I did do so what I did was on the team meeting, I created a MyGPT, and not only I created a MyGPT, I ran it for a couple of teams and pushed it into your Slack. This is the profile that you guys self-declared. I used that and some of the other content you provided about yourself, and then I put it, and in my GPT, it gave the recommendations of based on these characteristics, how can your team work better? It actually worked pretty well. So I ran it for two teams. I'm just getting feedback from the coaches, and in the next day or two, I'll put that my GPT out. Basically, you just run the same query. I'll give you a new query. In that, you just fill each of your choices of how you're going to approach the problem, and this you fill, just change a few words and put exactly what you put in the Excel sheet and run it for your team. It'll give you a nice set of recommendations. They're very good. Okay, they're better than what I mean, I can do it for all teams. It's going to take like a lot of time, and it's better for you to run it, put it inside your Slack. If it's good, I think it's pretty good. So I heard last semester from many teams. I was doing the production now. Now I automated that. So try it out, and um, take it to whatever it is, right? Some of you will really like it. Some of you will maybe find some not so perfect, but it's reasonable, right? I would like your feedback on it anyway. I think it's pretty good. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Take care. See you. Exactly on time, 6:30.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.